You didn't choose to love your cat. Your cat chose when you were allowed to. Think about the last time you tried to pick up your cat for a hug, and it just slipped away. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. And somehow, 20 minutes later, it was back. Sitting right next to you. Like nothing happened. You weren't annoyed. You were relieved. That reaction, that specific feeling, tells psychologists something profound about who you actually are. Because the people who fall deepest in love with cats, they're not just pet lovers. They're wired differently. In the next few minutes, we're going to go deep into the psychology behind cat owners, and what your love for your cat actually reveals about your mind, your nervous system, and the kind of person you've quietly become. This isn't about cat behavior. This is about you. And by the end of this, you're going to understand yourself in a way you didn't expect when you clicked on this video. Let's get into it. Here's something most people never say out loud. A lot of cat owners aren't lonely people who needed a pet. They're selective people who needed the right kind of company. Picture a typical Tuesday evening in any city in America. You've been in back-to-back meetings. Your phone hasn't stopped buzzing. Your coworker pulled you into a conversation you didn't have the energy for. And your commute home felt like a second job. By the time you walk through your front door, your social battery isn't just low. It's completely dead. And the last thing you want is something, or someone, that needs more from you. Your cat doesn't need more from you. It might glance up from the couch. It might not. But that glance carries zero expectation. Zero performance required. Psychologists call this restorative solitude, the idea that certain personalities recharge not through connection, but through the absence of demand. Cat owners overwhelmingly fall into this category. Research in personality psychology has consistently found that people who prefer cats tend to score higher in a trait called need for autonomy, a deep internal drive to protect their own mental and emotional space. They don't avoid people because they're antisocial. They avoid draining people because they're self-aware. And a cat respects that boundary without ever being asked. It doesn't hover. It doesn't guilt trip. It doesn't make you feel bad for wanting silence. It simply exists, close enough to comfort you, far enough to free you. That's not a small thing. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention from 17 directions, having one living presence that makes zero demands on your mental energy is nothing short of extraordinary. You love your cat because your cat is the only relationship in your life that never costs you emotional labor. Here's a question nobody asks. Why do cat owners get more attached after being ignored? A dog wags its tail every single time it sees you. And that's beautiful. But here's the psychological reality. When affection is constant, the brain stops registering it as special. It becomes background noise. But a cat makes you earn the moment. You've experienced this. You're sitting quietly, not asking for anything, not making a fuss, and suddenly your cat crosses the room, jumps up, and settles right against your leg. You didn't ask for it. That's exactly why it hits so hard. Psychologists call this variable reward reinforcement, the same mechanism behind why certain experiences feel so much more meaningful when they're unpredictable. But there's something deeper here than just brain chemistry. Many cat owners share a common emotional history, not always dramatic, but significant. Relationships where affection came with conditions. Friendships that had hidden price tags. Love that felt more like a transaction than a choice. When you've experienced that kind of conditional connection, your nervous system becomes finely tuned to one question. Is this real? And a cat answers that question honestly every single time. When your cat chooses you, truly, voluntarily, on its own terms, there is no doubt. No performance. No agenda. No hidden expectation waiting on the other side. Just presence. Pure and uncomplicated. That's what cat owners are really chasing, not obedience, not dependability, but authentic connection. The kind that can't be faked because it was never forced. You trust your cat precisely because your cat has never once pretended. Let's talk about something that happens in your body when your cat is near. Not emotionally. Physically. You've had this moment. It's late. Your mind is running through the list of things you said, should have said, shouldn't have done. The room is dark and quiet, but your thoughts are anything but. Then your cat settles next to you, warm, heavy, completely still. And something shifts. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Your shoulders drop half an inch. Your breath slows down. The mental noise softens. That's not imagination. That's your autonomic nervous system responding to a specific physical stimulus, and science has a very precise explanation for it. A cat's rhythmic breathing and warmth activate what researchers call the affiliative touch response, your nervous system's built-in reaction to safe physical contact with a living creature. This response directly lowers cortisol, the hormone your body produces under stress, while simultaneously triggering a gentle release of oxytocin, the neurochemical associated with trust and emotional safety. In plain terms, your cat physically changes your brain chemistry just by being near you. But here's the part that genuinely surprises most people. Studies in psychophysiology have found that regular, calm interaction with a companion animal can measurably lower resting heart rate over time, not just in the moment, but as a long-term baseline shift. Your nervous system, with consistent exposure to that calm presence, begins to recalibrate. It learns, on a biological level, that safety is available. Think about what that means for someone who carries chronic stress. Someone whose nervous system has been on high alert for years, scanning for problems, bracing for conflict, waiting for the next thing to go wrong. Your cat isn't just sitting there. It's quietly, steadily retraining your threat response. Night after night. Without a single word. There's a reason people say their cat calms them down, and it has nothing to do with preference or personality. It's physiological. It's measurable. And it's happening to you every single time you sit down and your cat finds you. We're about halfway through, and what we just covered is really just the foundation. Because the most fascinating part of cat psychology isn't about stress or biology. It's about identity. It's about what kind of person chooses this kind of relationship, and what that choice quietly says about your values, your intelligence, and the way you see the world. Let's keep going. Throughout history, there's a pattern hiding in plain sight. The people most drawn to cats have almost always been the ones who think sideways. Who question things. Who sit with complexity instead of running from it. Not because cats are mysterious, although they are, but because a cat's behavior demands a different kind of observation. You cannot control a cat. You cannot predict it with certainty. You cannot reduce it to a simple formula. And if that doesn't frustrate you, if you actually find that interesting, it says something very specific about how your mind works. Psychologists studying personality and pet preference have found that people who gravitate toward cats consistently score higher on openness to experience, one of the most well-established personality dimensions in modern psychology. Openness to experience isn't just about being creative or artistic. It's about tolerance for ambiguity, the ability to sit with something unresolved and not need it to be neatly explained.
Most people want relationships they can read easily. Clear signals. Predictable responses. Cat owners chose the one companion that offers neither, and found it more satisfying, not less. Because here's what that unpredictability actually gives you. It teaches presence. You cannot be distracted and understand your cat at the same time. You have to watch. You have to read microsignals, the angle of the ears, the speed of the tail, the specific quality of silence, before it either comes closer or walks away. That kind of observation builds a skill that transfers directly into your human relationships, your work, and your inner life. Cat owners tend to be better readers of rooms, better at noticing what isn't being said, better at sitting comfortably in the unknown, which, if you look at the modern world honestly, is one of the most valuable things a person can learn to do. Your cat has been teaching you that every single day. You just didn't know to call it a lesson. Here's the part of this that tends to stay with people. The way you love your cat says something about the values you've quietly built your life around. Think about what it actually requires to love a cat well. You have to respect boundaries, because if you don't, the relationship doesn't work. You have to read subtle signals, because a cat doesn't explain itself in language you can look up. You have to give without expectation, because a cat will not love you on demand, no matter how much you've done for it. And you have to be genuinely okay with that. Not performing okayness. Actually okay. That's not a small thing to ask of a person. And the fact that you do it easily, naturally, without even thinking of it as a sacrifice, reveals something important. You've built a capacity for love that doesn't need to be returned on your timeline. You've learned to find meaning in quiet moments rather than loud performances. You've stopped confusing control with connection. Those aren't just qualities of a good cat owner. They're qualities of an emotionally mature human being. Your cat didn't give you those qualities, but your relationship with it has been quietly reinforcing them. Every time you respected its space, every time you waited instead of forced, every time you accepted being ignored and stayed gentle anyway, you've been practicing one of the hardest emotional skills in existence. And you've been doing it every day without a single coaching session or self-help book. In cat language, it's called a trust signal. It means, I am completely safe with you. My guard is down. You are not a threat. You earned that. Not with treats or tricks. With consistency. With patience. With a kind of quiet reliability that most people never get to experience from another living thing. Your cat knows something about you that you might forget on hard days. You are safe to be around. You are worth staying near. And that, in the end, might be the most important thing any of us ever learn about ourselves. So here's what we actually talked about today. You love your cat not because you needed a pet, but because something in you recognized a relationship built on honesty, respect, and genuine choice. You are someone who values real over easy, quiet over loud, presence over performance. And your cat, in its own completely unbothered way, has been reflecting that back to you all along. If any part of this felt true for you, share it with someone else who has a cat, because they'll understand exactly what you mean. And drop your cat's name in the comments. I want to know who's been sitting next to you through all of it. If you want to go deeper into the psychology of the people you share your life with, human or otherwise, subscribe and hit the bell. We go somewhere new every single week. I'll see you in the next one.